So, you want to rig a slackline at your house. So I'm going to show you a few different types of lines you can rig at your house. One in the backyard, one in the living room, and then we'll show Mr. Davis Hermes has his garage outfitted for a couple slacklines too. So we're going to start off with the backyard line. I think I've found pretty much the easiest method to put anchors into a lawn or a backyard. So I'm going to show you that today. So you just need a few things. First thing is going to be, if you don't have trees, you'll want to have some A-frames because you'll need to put ground anchors in. I built these with my dad when I was like 16 years old. They're some thick boys and they still seem to be holding up. So we're going to give those a shot today. The other things you'll need are, of course, a slack line, and then you'll need a few of these ground stakes. These are like 40-inch steel ground stakes. I'll leave a link down below where you can buy them. But I have 3 of these, and then we'll put them in this steel plate. So you can see there's 3 holes on the steel plate. This stuff is super strong. Once you pound the stakes in, they're not going anywhere. It is a little bit easier if you do have trees already in your yard. I have a tree on one side and just a gravel pit on the other. So I'm going to show you both types of anchors here. Okay, so now we're over on the tree side. You can see I've got the line already girth hitched around the tree, and the tree's nice and padded. Always want to make sure you're protecting your trees. I want this tree to live for a very long time. I just have some foam padding over the A-frame just to make sure the line stays nice and fresh and not abraded. But that's really it. Like, if you wanted to wrap the tree without the A-frame, you totally could. I just like the A-frame because it kind of shortens the line feel here, and it just makes it feel symmetrical because we have an A-frame on the other side. So up to you. If you have 2 trees, don't need A-frames at all, but I really like this setup. Let's put this ground anchor in. So we have our steel metal plate, and I'm going to lay that down flat, and the plate's going to be pointing in the direction I want to have the line. And then I have my trusty sledgehammer, and I'm just going to pound in these 40-inch steel rods into my yard. One thing to call out, very important, if you live in the US at least, call 811 before you pound any stakes in or do any digging in your yard, because there are sometimes gas and electric lines in the ground that you don't want to hit. Hey. The other thing that's important to know before you pound in this first stake is that the shackle, and it is better to use a shackle because the edges of the plate can be kind of sharp. You can get away with a span set or some soft material if you pad it really well. But regardless, the shackle is going to be underneath the plate. The idea is to get the leverage from the shackle as low as possible to the ground. So if you need to attach the shackle before you pound in the stake, that might be a good idea. Let's pound in some stakes and see if this works. Always recommend ear protection because this can get kind of loud. Okay, so we're looking good here. We got our plate and stakes pounded in. The shackle is underneath the plate on the front stake, and there's nothing sharp touching that plate because it can get sharp and cut soft material. And I've got my 2-inch line connected to that shackle, and we're looking good. So I'm gonna try to put some tension on this thing. We'll see if the stakes hold. Okay, so we got some tension on there. The plate and stakes really haven't moved much at all, so I'm feeling confident about it. We've got our nice ratchet system. Just a reminder, anytime you're rigging with a ratchet, just make sure to back it up. So make sure the ratchet's tied back to the anchor somehow. So I'm gonna do that shortly. As far as tension, I'd say we're currently at the lower end of like a trick line tension. So for most yard lines, 1 set of stakes would be totally fine. And if you're going a full trick line, maybe having 2 plates and sets of stakes would be smart, and you can equalize them. But I would rig this setup up to 10, 12 kilonewtons and be totally fine. So let's go jump around. All right. holding perfectly. Sticks didn't move at all. Okay, we're back inside for the next type of line you can rig in your house. And this one's just gonna be a rodeo line in your living room. So probably the easiest solution for most people, if you're just living in any house or apartment, there's usually a spot you can put up a rodeo line. I think I put a rodeo line in every apartment I've ever lived in. And pro tip, don't ask your landlord for permission, just ask for forgiveness. So here we have the materials you'll need. Obviously a piece of webbing. You'll need a drill and then a bit to drill a pilot hole for these bolts. And then you'll need 2 of these little eyelet bolts. You can pick these up at Home Depot. I think they're like $4 or $5. Any hardware store should have something like this. These have like a working load limit of 250 pounds or so, which is about what you want. So 2 of those, one for each side, and then all you need is a web lock or some sort of mighty lock to attach the webbing to the bolt. So let's get into it. So I forgot to mention, you do need a stud finder. So we don't want to just put bolts into the drywall. They're just going to pull straight out. So want to make sure we have them in the wood, in the wall. So I'll use the stud finder very quickly to mark where the stud is, where I want to put my bolt in. Okay, now I've got my stud marked. And just make sure when you drill this pilot hole that it feels like it's going into wood. That's going to be the most important thing. So if it's not, I would fill the hole and re-drill it. Make sure you're in a stud. We're going to take this metal eyelet bolt and we're going to screw it into the wall. You can do it by hand at first, and then I like using a screwdriver to get it the rest of the way in. Okay, so now that the eyelets are in, I can go ahead and attach my webbing. On this side, I'm just gonna have, we're rigging Y2K today, and I'm just gonna put it in a frost knot and attach that carabiner to the eyelet. So you can do this a bunch of ways. If you have a sewn loop, you can just put the sewn loop right on the eyelet, or you can do another web lock. On the other side, you'll see I've put the web lock on. Again, really just on a carabiner. I do love a web lock on a rodeo line just because it's adjustable and I can pull tension in really easily if I need to. So I like to have a web lock on one side. There's all sorts of fancy pieces of gear out there these days, so you can explore what's around. But a simple web lock works just fine. Even just a ring lock or a mighty lock works great. There we go, we're rigged up on both sides, and let's see if it holds. I do love static webbing like Y2K for indoor rodeo lines. Just makes it easier to step on, especially if you have more beginners around. But that's it. Now we have a rodeo line in our house. Have a jam sesh with all your friends over. And next we're gonna show you some garage lines. So we're going over to Davis's house. Bet you didn't know this guy could trick line. Race to the middle, go. Okay, so we checked out the rodeo line. And now you're gonna show us how you set this lower 2-inch line up in your garage.
Yeah, totally. The short, tight equivalent of a rodeo line.
Exactly.
It's Cistern, Slackline.
So what's going on over here? So I see, we always say have a red A-frame, but then how is this attached to the ground?
Yeah, so I put some bolts in the concrete in the base of the garage.
Yep.
A great resource for bolting and how to do that, you know, is How Not To, or
yeah.
I'm sure a million other resources online as well. Or
yeah,
maybe
we'll put a link in the comments. We're not going to teach you how to bolt, but
yeah.
We'll put a link in the comments to how to put bolts in your garage floor.
And I like to do, like I said, kind of everything overkill. So I tossed 3 of them in and did a 3-point sliding X with a span set.
Yep.
Big beefy shackle, and I just wanted this to sit a certain distance out, so I just extended it with this piece of AM steel.
And this
Extender would work great.
This A-frame looks great. It's super simple. It looks like 3 pieces of wood.
Yeah, hang frames are super easy to make. There's even easier ones to make too. I think the hay frames are like really stable once you get them up.
So you made this yourself?
Yeah. So it's just 3 2x4s, you know, however long that is, I forget exactly. There's a bolt going through the bottom into here and into here, and then I also have a bolt connecting these two. Once again, I like to do everything way more than you need to, so I used a bunch of wood glue to glue them together also, which is totally unnecessary.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, this looks great. So how do you attach the slackline here?
Yeah, so I basically just open the soft shackle up. Like I said, you can use a hard shackle if you want. I have like a little thimble here that's really stiff because I don't like the thought of it pinching my webbing, and that would be one reason to use just a hard shackle instead. But anyway, this is the way I went. Yeah. We kind of browsed over this, but this is just threaded in a way that hangs these rings in a whatever orientation that would be. And yeah, you pretty much, this thing holds itself via the tension pulling that way and the tension pulling the other way. And yeah, it's really, really stable when it's up. Obviously, if I like let it go now and Justin wasn't holding it, it'd fall over, but that's just because there's no tension in the system yet. So yeah, let's go to the other side.
We're over here on the other side. Pretty much the exact same setup. It looks like you got 3 bolts and a span set coming off the bolts, but this A-frame looks different.
Yeah.
Can you talk me through the different A-frames? Which one do you like?
Yeah, different A-frame. I wanted the ratchet behind the frame, which was harder to do with the hang frame.
So the ratchet's over here.
Yeah, so I thread the webbing through here, and once again, this is like way more than you need to do. Like you could probably do without all this and just put the line over the wood, but I thought the PVC for the line to run over would be really nice, and I filled that PVC with some wood blocks.
So this is just 2x4s, and you have like these sections of PVC that the line can go over.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I've got some bolts going through the wood that I stuffed in the PVC, and they sit on top of that. Yeah, wow. super overkill. You don't need, but you end up really wanting something like this up top to just tie it back. Okay. Because unlike the hang frame, which has a connection where it gets pulled in separate ways, this one is like freestanding, and it actually freestands surprisingly well, but you end up finding that it wants to kind of flip one way and eventually topple down. So if you just tie it back, from the top. Yeah, the advantage is having the ratchet behind. Okay. Otherwise, I would use the hang frame just because it was easier to make, and yeah, if I didn't care about the ratchet being behind it, like the hang frame was 5 times as fast to make. Yeah.
So then I presumably you just run the webbing through here.
Yeah, exactly. So take the webbing through the ratchet, and this looks probably odd because the ratchet is upside down. And then her anchor.
Okay, so I just watched you set up this slackline in probably 2 minutes. Yeah. Once you'd already had the anchors in your garage. So how long did it take you to put this whole system together, would you say? Like build the A-frames and put the bolts in?
I mean, because I painted them and went way overkill with like filling this with wood and everything. I was like a day of probably woodwork and like half day of painting and bolting.
Yeah. But you put a day of work in, and now you have a slackline in your garage all the time.
And I mean, if you want to do like the simplest style of A-frame, or even just the hang frames, 2 on or 1 on each side, and not paint them in anything, like, I mean, half a day.
How'd you pick the red? Were you trying to match the webbing?
I was trying to match the bins. Yeah, I just try and match the bins in the garage, and then obviously you need a red piece of webbing too, because everything's red.
Yeah, this is great. Oh, goodbye heels. So there you go. Hopefully now you have the knowledge to go rig a slackline in your house in one form or another. Go make it happen.